Hello. I think there is already someone here in the room. Say hello. Hey buddy, how are you? So you're the first one in here. Let's just wait for some. Yeah, buddy, I know that. Yeah, I wanted to do yesterday as I usually do every end of the TRECENA, but I was flat out this time, and I couldn't attend. So I'm just making up and doing the live today. And oh, this is gonna be quite a TRECENA. It's a very interesting TRECENA to analyze because we're gonna be talking a lot about the now Kawuq, the sheet lightning. So it's gonna be, it's have like very interesting aspects, about the world and things that we live that we can talk about. So it's a very interesting TRECENA. Oh yeah, very good. Yeah, Ukubar 7 read. Though in my lineage we call more Ah for the aspect of transformation rather than calling read. But I'll explain it closer when we start talking about this novel. And yeah, we already have 2 people here in the room. Hello. Yeah, Vlad, crazy TRECENA, come here. As always, it's always scary. And yeah, sure. After I finish with the analysis, I can talk about the consultations and explain a little bit about the novel, if you want. It is Kame. Actually, it can be written in the both ways. In my lineage, in Quiche, we write with Kame, so the first version that you said, but it's not wrong if you type Kame. There are many ways that the noun can be expressed according to the Maya language. So if you have any question before I start, so otherwise I will start with the analysis. So yeah, the death. I know YouTube doesn't like me to speak this word in here. I don't know why it censors. But in here, every time I have to talk about Keme, I always refer as the ancestors. But we can also refer as that as well. So in talking about Keme, as you mentioned, is the now of the death, is the now of the ancestors, is the now that ruled the past TRECENA, where Kame was in Oshlahu, the 13th position. Remembering my lineage, we look at the TRECENA by the last day. So because you always look at the accumulation, the biggest entity that's going to be pushing the TRECENA forward. So the past TRECENA, the Kame TRECENA, we were talking about the accumulation of support that could lead us to face the battle, to find glory over the battle that we need to often conquer. Find like the glory over the battle of overcoming our fears, because Kame is connected to rejection, is connected to suffering, is connected to the dead ancestors. So in that TRECENA we spoke a lot about the ancestors. We spoke about the cycle of the ancestors with Ahmak, the complementarity. We spoke about with the ancestors also with Hunarpu, the conqueror son, They talk about honoring honoring the ancestors, and Kame, that represents the dead ancestors, the day to talk to the dead. And so that Trecena was the accumulation, could have been the accumulation of suffering, the accumulation of suffering that wouldn't allow you to overcome your fears, that wouldn't allow you, to find the goal that you need. Could be also, you can associate it as well as frustration, when you try to overcome something but you do not succeed, so you feel frustrated, so you feel like pressure in the heart. That was on the aspects that Kame always express. So depending on how the past Trecena went for all of you, if in the Trecena you felt like you ended up accumulating support, you ended up accumulating support for overcoming the fears that you wanted, support to work on brightening up a project that you've been working on, or was it Trecena that you wanted to get more used to talk to the ancestors? Depending on how the Trecena went, if you ended up getting frustrated, now we're gonna start in this Trecena with a new balance, with the now one whom quer, one dear. This Trecena is gonna be the Oshilahu Kawuq 13 sheet lightning Trecena. So depending on how things went in the past Trecena, so now we can start over with a new balance that we can accumulate light at the end. Just like after you have to overcome something that was dark for you, something that you were feeling frustrated, now you need to regain balance again and try to find new ways to maybe see a light, the light of intuition that's gonna guide you towards to where you need to go, for where you need to transit, for this rough period, for anything that you've been going through. But also, if what the past Trecena was the Trecena that you accumulated support, that you felt like you got the stuff that you needed, you were able to overcome, like your fears, or the darkness of going through a project or honoring the ancestors. This can be the Trecena where you can fix stuff and start just claiming or just seeing this light of intuition. Kawuq is associated with the sheet lightning because we talk about, like the bright, the quick bright thing, like the lightning do, that just showing in the clouds, just to show there was something there, but you don't necessarily see the lightning. So it's the sheet lightning, so it's like that very, flash of light that suddenly illuminates the sky. And we use that to talk about deep intuition. Kawuq, we always talk about that it's connected to the inner spirit of the planet. So this inner spirit we call Ushilabishel, like the big spirit where everything comes from in this planet. So where we can access, the spirit of the earth to see things clearer. So it's just like when you see things, transparent or translucent, that's the realm of Kawuq. It's a beautiful realm. It's one of the ways that you can access knowledge. But when we talk about deep intuition, we are not referring to that intuition that after you do a process of learning, it becomes automatic. Just like the process that we walk intuitively, but we had to learn when we were young. Or many other things like the skills that you have that you use for work that you do automatically. So that's a type of intuition. But Kawuq, we talk about when something deeper, when something that you don't know yet, but then you suddenly receive that light that brighten things up. Maybe you could see like the full picture of the plan. Maybe you saw how to resolve a situation, something like that you had no idea. Maybe it could be something that can give you some deep insights about a project that you have been working on, or stuff about a loved one that has been going through a rough process. Anything that sometimes you don't know is still in the dark, but suddenly you see like that the brightness of the light just where you can see a little bit. You don't know how you got that or how you were able to get the light, but you already know that. So that's one of the types of ways that we can access knowledge, is through this deep intuition that Kawuq talks about. We also have other novels that talks about knowledge. For example, Nawal Bats, the Howler Monkey, or the Thread, that we talk about intelligence, but knowledge from connecting the dots. When you see something in here and something in there, and then you find the two, then you connect things. Oh, they work like this. So you got like an image. Also, Nawal Naor, that's the thought, the now of the knowledge, is where when we can categorize stuff, we can analyze, we can do synthesize to classify the knowledge. And also Nawal Akabal, the clarity. Nawal Akabal, that talks about when we do a research, we take the light to brighten what is in the dark, to get more knowledge about that. And Kawuq, as we spoke, is that sudden light that you just get instantly something. But every time we talk this light about Kawuq, is always something that, sometimes we love we always listen to people, yes, I'm a very intuitive person, but in Maya, when we talk about intuition, we refer to unsolicited information, because it's not something that you ask for, you just receive and you have to deal with that. It doesn't, whether being good or bad. Sometimes you receive something inside of you, you kind of already know that's going to happen, but it's going to be consuming you from the inside. It's going to leave you feeling trouble from inside. It could be also associated with gossips, like with the small, like those things that doesn't take you anywhere. Of course, if you enjoy this lifestyle, you enjoy like this thing, is that's your purpose, that is there's nothing wrong with that. You can receive the light of information about what are I doing, because in Maya there is nothing like it's too personal. Like we always can get information about something living or something that is, or someone or something that is already dead. So Kawuq's gonna show you the light. So this TRECENA, we're gonna be talking about this accumulation of light, this accumulation of intuition that can lead us, to resolve our path of transformation. That's maybe when we can finally see, we can finally go through the rough process that we went to in the past TRECENA, in the Oshilahukame, the ancestors TRECENA. So in this TRECENA, we're gonna be starting with the day Hum Quer One Dear. Now one is the now of the spring, the fresh new start. So depending on how the past TRECENA went for you, if it was a TRECENA that you ended up being frustrated, ended up being like with the feeling pressure in the heart. So maybe now Hum Quer represented a way for you to start things, trying to find balance again, try to stabilize you again. Because now Quer represents the deer. The deer, that is a reference also for the Maya altars, the four-legged table, where we put like our offerings on the top of that to do our communication with the other world. For what? For gaining spiritual stability, maybe to offer to someone. So it's a way for us to do this to intermediate this communication. That's the purpose of the altar. And why is the connection with the deer? The deer has this representation because we always, in Quiche, we refer to the heart of the sky and heart of the earth. Everything is a fruit of these two, the earth and the sky. So in the deer, is represented by that because of the deer with the white spots in the back, just for you to have an image. Because the belly is going to represent the earth, like the earth that is gestating. And also the back's going to, the white spots going to represent the stars, the altar, the four legs of the deer. So it's a place where you can talk to the heart of the earth and heart of the sky, and do your communication, do your offerings, spread the words. So you do that because maybe you need some like enhance your strength, your spiritual strength. So if things went wrong in the past TRECENA, Hunker was the day that you could regain balance to start over again, or maybe regain your confidence to start walking again if you ended up being frustrated. If that was the TRECENA that you ended up collecting more support, you ended up enhancing your connection with the ancestors. You couldn't you found the glory over something that you were fighting or you're struggling to get. So now you start this TRECENA with a new stability that you can obtain more light to stabilize this process. So Hunker we represent that. But if in the things the past TRECENA ended up letting us becoming with more fear, like more frustrated, maybe one cat didn't want to move. So you will begin another new path with you feeling stagnant. So and that's one of the things that can stop the TRECENA, that can block you from accumulating light. That's when you start things, not wanting to move or not wanting to change something that is necessary because you are afraid, you're still afraid of something, just like when the deer is afraid to go to the river because of the predators. So it's always a risk. So one deer is a day to find balance to allow the good things to come into on your or way, for you to try to focus more on the light you like to receive in this TRECENA. The things that can be helpful for you, that can guide you on your path. Otherwise, you're going to be receiving, if you do not control that, if you're not stable enough, you can be betrayed by your emotions, you can be betrayed by gossips and things that are not really worth it. And then from one care, we move to keep Kawuq, to seed. Now two is now the retraction, or taking one step back to calculate things in TRECENA. So if one is the spring, two is going to be the retraction of the water, just like when the shore, the tides are pulling the waves before going forward. So it's a moment to calculate before going forward with more energy. Or we can say taking one step back to see what went wrong in the past TRECENA and how you can do things in the correct way. So we're going to do new calculations this time. So that's what number two is going to be talking about. And now our Kawuq is the seed. The seed, for us, we talk about the potential of something to germinate. The seed has the potential of becoming a big tree, like that small little thing has the potential of becoming something huge. But the seed cannot do anything on its own. It needs a complementary, like the water. It needs the proper nutrients, the fertilizers for the plant to grow, or maybe then later becoming your abundance. Because we do this connection with the seed because we talk about the agriculture in the Maya lands. So a way for you to have your abundance is for you to have food, for you to have something that you can harvest and keep you alive, keep your family alive, keep the community going and strong. So, but Kawuq is always going to depend on something because the seed by itself doesn't do anything. So if you don't do the right amount of water, the seed won't germinate. But if you exaggerate in the amount of water you're going to put in the seed can rotten. But the seed needs the right amount. So every time we're going to be talking about Kawuq, we're going to be talking about dosage. How are we going to dose like the efforts that we are doing so we won't get intoxicated? The same way as applying the fertilizer to make you produce more, to make the plant go strong. Or here, like if you are working on a project, Kawuq can be associated with productivity, like the complementary actions that you need to do in order to make something to germinate, in order to get something out of what you're doing. But you need to do the right doses, so you need to do the right calculation. So two seeds is going to be how to calculate the exact dosage of productivity that you need for this TRECENA. How to calculate the dosage of complementary things that you need to to meet the stuff that you need in this TRECENA. Or a way to see like what went wrong in the past TRECENA. Maybe, you know, feeling frustrated left you rotten. Maybe, you know, made you lose your fertility. That's why you couldn't overcome your fears in the past TRECENA. So now that you regain balance in care, now you can do a better calculation on how you're gonna, you know, use the strength that you started now in care to grow into this light that we're gonna be seeing the end of the TRECENA. So it's gonna be a day for you to calculate as well, you know, like the complementary stuff that you're gonna be needing that. Or see the stuff that is already ready for you to harvest that you can use to plant again to start getting more abundance. Just like when we talk about money, like we're going to invest money to make more money, to make these things, you know, flowing and running, so you can keep your harvesting always in point. You're always going to be having resources to sustain your life. And then from 2 seed, Cape Canil, we go to Oship Tor, 3 fire, ascending fire. Now 3 is an hour that opens the path, that goes forward. So after the 2 retracts, the now 3 is going to go forward. It's going to open the path, has more strength to find a way to maybe overcome an obstacle if necessary. And also if necessary, it's going to diverge so it can surpass this obstacle. So now 3 is always going to have a strength necessary to go forward. And now we talk about the fire, the ascending fire, the one that we need to keep putting the briquettes over there. We need the help of the wind so the fire can go up, so the fire will consume the fuel that we place in there. Hello, Tat Jose from California. Nice to see you in here. So now our Tor is going to be the one that you're going to be having to make a sacrifice to be in power. You're going to be burning all your energy in order to achieve something. So if you have a goal that you want so bad, but maybe it's going to compromise all your economies, not all your plans, but you feel like there is something that you really want that. So that's going to be your Tor. Maybe you're going to have to pay in installments, in many times, like a mortgage of a house that you're going to be paying like for a certain amount of years. It can complicate you, it can drive you crazy, it can, really mess you up, but at the end it's going to be yours. All the sacrifice that you went through is now yours. So that was your Tor. It costs maybe your mental health, it costs you maybe your physical health, but then it's yours. It doesn't matter. Like you paid for that. You paid from your own sacrifice, from your own sweat, from your blood. And that comes another connection with the Tor, the blood. The blood as our vital energy. When we put our energy into work into something. So that's gonna be now Tor. So 3 fire is going to be open the path for the sacrifice necessary to obtain the things that we want. Opening the path, to do the payment necessary. Or could be, depending on things that are going this TRECENA, if we are stagnant, maybe we're rotten in there or got intoxicated in our seed. Tor could be, the repercussion where your body could be manifesting some disease, some sickness, because that's the other side of the Now Tor, that we can also represent as the Now of the hospitals. We can do this representation when we don't listen to our body, and then we start seeing the manifestation, just like when the fire burns us, like we make like a wildfire and gets out of control. Just like when we enter in sacrifices that we are not going to be able to go through them, and we kind of just realize it in the middle. So it's something to be aware, what kind of sacrifices you're putting yourself into. If that's really worth it to proceed with this type of sacrifice. So these are things to ponder in our Oship Tor, because this brightness of the fire that you're gonna be going, that's gonna be going up, can be, you know, the reference of the light that you're gonna be seeing accumulating at the end of the Trecena. This light of intuition, because the more you sacrifice yourself to do something, the more you are open to receive the light to do the stuff correctly on your path. You're gonna, you know, brighten up everything that you're gonna be knowing what to do. So it can be a day that you can ask, you know, for your intuition, you know, to show if something is really worth it or not. Maybe it's time that you can diverge and to try to something else. Maybe you can achieve similar results, but entering into a fight that you can buy, for not ended up getting frustrated when the past Trecena returns once again, the Kame Trecena, and then you have to go through everything all over again. So it's a day to ponder what type of sacrifices you're gonna be putting yourselves into in 3 fire. Then from 3 fire, Oship Tor, we go to Kahib Tzi for dog. Now 4 is the water that stops, you know, can be paused or just got stuck somewhere after opening the path. And the now Tzi is the now of the dog, the now that we associate to emotions. The emotions, but more to the side of the emotional confusion. Like when you have so many things into consideration, but, you know, suddenly, you know, everything gets, you know, messy and you don't know what to do, you don't know what to feel, like you're not sure anymore. So that's one of the aspects that Tzeken talks about. Tzeken also talks about, you know, some very nice things that we can associate. For example, the friendship, you know, companionship, the people that we are loyal, like the people that we can seek for help every time we need, the people that we enjoy spending time with. These are some aspects of Nawao Tzi, but that's why we talk about the emotion, like the people that we choose, like as our family, like these going to be our loyal ones, but we don't have a blood connection, but we have this emotional connection with them. But what happens with Tzi, because emotion is not something that you can completely rationalize then. You know, they can get messy, you know, they can get out of your control. You can end up, you know, having to deal with something that you never expect you were going to. Just like if you take this metaphor of the dog, because the dog is gonna be loyal to the owner who feeds him, who keeps him alive, so he's gonna be the companion. But whenever you feed the dog and he's eating, his or her is eating, and then you're gonna try to play with his food, depending on the dog can bite the owner, can forget about all of the loyalty, all of the things that the owner represents the dog, and bite the owner because he felt, you know, something was coming in the way of it was his instinct to bite the owner. So Tzi is going to be talking about when you get, you know, so confused that you kind of ended up, you know, corrupting, you know, or just trying to escape, or to try to escape something that you don't want to do because you feel emotionally uncertain. So Tzi talks about these realms, this realm of stuff that emotions can bring. That can bring you to confusion for not knowing what to do, something that can corrupt you because if you feel you're not, you know, getting the results that you wanted. So these are the other aspects that we talk about in our Tzi. So for dog, Kahib Tzi is the now of the emotions that are stuck. They could be somehow stopped over there, or maybe it could be the pause for you to put your emotional state in place. Maybe if something is going wrong, or maybe you are, you know, it's been kind of hard, you know, to see a light or something you wanted to overcome a situation. Kahib Tzi could be the day where you can seek the help of your loyal ones. You can talk to your friends. Maybe you just need a good time with them. Maybe just a good time to celebrate with them, because that can be something that can help you just clear the stuff that you are carrying. You know, just being along your loyal ones until you recover your strength, you recover your balance again. Maybe you couldn't find the process of obtaining balance in one deer, but maybe you needed to wait for T. You need to see more people, calculate more things until you finally find some balance. So then you can start preparing yourself to see the light. So 4 Dog is going to be talking about these stagnant emotions. And then from 4 Dog we go to Hob Bats, 5 Howler Monkey or 5 Thread. 5 is the now of the water that overflows. So after the water that becomes stuck in now 4, 5 is the next step, is when the container accumulates more water and the water is going to overflow. So with the water overflow can cause destruction. It can lead into a mess, can be a massive, amount of water that you probably won't be able to handle because it's going to be too much strength, and then you're going to have to deal later with the repercussion. But it could be awesome days if you need to put an extra energy onto something. For example, you need to work more because you didn't work enough in the past few days, so you need a day to compensate that stuff. 5 days are great days for that. So you can use that overflowing pressure of the now 5 to do things, or to try to be more productive or more effective or more radical if something is necessary. And our Bats that we always associate with the thread, because of the thread, just like the connection for time, or the thread of ideas, or the interconnections that we do, like how our lives are interconnected, like our stories connect when we need each other. Like when something happens, everything is interconnected in the Maya cosmovision, in the Maya philosophy. So the thread's going to be representing, this thread of this knot of ideas, this thread of work as well. It's the thread that they use to do the textures in there. In a way, we talk about creativity because it's the now that is associated with arts and spirituality. But in Bats, we more specifically talk about putting things into action, to start putting the effort, to do the work that you gotta do. So after you gain balance, now maybe it's now the time that you need to overflow with your actions. You start putting things in action, to move more, to produce more, to create something better. So as a TRECENA, we are talking about this big intuition. It could be an awesome day where you can flow creating stuff, because maybe you can see the big picture of the stuff that we want to create, we want to bring into our projects or anything else. So it can be a very, very auspicious and powerful day to do this stuff, or to start connecting the dots, so then you can start seeing the light, so you make more the chance that you can access this light of intuition, because you know what to focus, you know what kind of things you need it. Hacha, Douglas, nice to see you here. And so Hot Bats is going to talk about this overflow of work or things that you gotta do. But also can be the moment as we connect the bats with the thread, as the 5 has this violent, nature that sometimes won't wait for you. Maybe the thread can get, entangled. Maybe you're gonna be working too much, or dedicating too much work, that you can end up being frustrated. Maybe you can implode of so much pressure. Remembering that we started the TRECENA with the stability, we had to calculate the productivity or the dosage, then you have to open the path for the sacrifice, but pondering very well, because maybe the sacrifice could turn against us, we can be burned with the fire. Then you have to establish the emotions, to free the emotions that could be stuck, so now we can overflow. But if that process don't go well, like if you don't open, like the channel of these nows, maybe in Bats can be something can be where things can go sideways. Maybe if you got entangled, maybe the light of intuition is gonna give you, so much more things that you won't be able to use for nothing, because you only to get more entangled. So that's one of the things that we're gonna be talking about in Hot Bats. but can be in a very, very auspicious day to create, to put something on the works, to work with something that can never go wrong in bad days, or a day, to work hard in your spiritual connection, so to free the stuff that you're doing, so to solve problems. That's a way to use creativity to find solutions for stuff. And then from hot bats 5 Howler Monkey, we go to Wakib E6 Pathfinder. Now 6 is a now of the heart of the TRECENA. It's the place where you're going to be pondering. It represents the dry caves. The dry caves that can be associated with the ears of the earth. So it's a place where you're going to sit down and put things into perspective. In now Pathfinder, we're going to be talking about finding a path, advancing in a path. We're going to be talking about the road, the traveling, but not just the physical trip, like when you're going to visit a new place, but you can also talk about when you travel into a story of a book, or you can travel with spiritually. So there are many different ways that you can travel, many different realms that you can explore. So now A represents any of this type of path, So it's going to be talking about finding a meaning for the path that you are walking, or finding a purpose for the things that you just created. So it's going to be talking about pondering stuff. There are some novels here that you can see that they look like they mirror each other, like the name novel and the number novel. And 6 Pathfinder is one of these cases where we can say these novels are cousins in meanings. Because in novel 6 is going to be pondering, going to be put into perspective, but it's not something that's going to make a decision. It's just about pondering. Maybe you need to meditate. It's just about to see the things in front of you so you can decide, or do the act of deciding, of evaluating stuff. But now A is going to be talking about when you have to advance. You're going to be pondering stuff, but you have to move. So 6 Pathfinder is a day to ponder your path. Ponder where you're going. If you ended up getting frustrated in the past TRECENA, or stuck, not overcoming your fears. So it's a good time to ponder about your path. Maybe that is something that you are doing that is not going wrong. Maybe you are following the wrong direction. So it can be an excellent day for you to start putting things into this perspective, and see maybe you lost like your desire for something. So now you need to recalculate. Maybe you feel something is not not right inside of you. So 6 Pathfinder is a day to ponder about that. Maybe ponder about that you need, maybe find a new purpose. That is, in the Maya calendar, is not such a thing that is after you're born you're predetermined to follow one purpose. That is, your purpose is this and that is always going to be this. No, like we can create so many different purposes. We can, like after we are done with one, we can create another. If you give up of one, we can join another. And that's how life goes. It doesn't matter. We do not need to put pressure, because that's the path of life. Making choices. Sometimes feeling the remorse of letting some stuff behind, wanting to advance. Because now it deals with melancholy. Just like when we like to advance, but it's something holding us back in that. Maybe what is holding us back is because we were like in a very nice day, like we were feeling it's like so pleasant about something, about relationship or a job, and we don't want to let it go. Like we want always to make things work in our life, but sometimes things doesn't work like that. Life continues on. If it works for yesterday, it's not a guarantee that things is going to be continue working on that. So sometimes it's going to be necessary that we maybe change the plan, maybe we change the stuff that we gotta do, or create new purposes in life to continue on. And that's where we can ask for this light of Kawuq to help us, ponder about this path. Are we walking the right path, the path that we wanted to? Maybe Kawuq is gonna be the one that's gonna show you exactly like where you are going, because maybe you you weren't able to see like where you were still holding some melancholies. So Kawuq can, brighten up to show you what is holding you back and what is making you difficult to advance. So 6 pathfinders that need to do these considerations. And then we move to Ukub Ah 7, transformation. Now 7 is the now of the climax of the TRECENA. We associate it with the hot water, like the hot springs or the hot geyser or the lava from the volcano. So we're going to be talking about like what is going to be the most intense part in the TRECENA. And now Ah is the now of the transformation, is the now of the changes. Remembering that now Ah sounds something positive, because it sounds like you're transmutating, you're already transformed. But in reality, it talks about the process of getting to transformation. You had to transform because something wasn't working anymore. So you need to go through all this process of rediscovering, maybe having to do changes to find, your path again. So after you pondering the path, now it's time to put things into transformation. And that's why we are asking for this light that this TRECENA can accumulate, so we can overcome this path of transformation that lives always put us into. So we always have to ponder the path that we're walking, always need to find a way to keep our spiritual stability, so we can go through the challenges of life in a more easy way. We can find a ways to change in a more easy way. So this light of Kawuq can be something that can give you the light if you need to start things over, because transformation can come whether you already concrete something, so and then now that doesn't make any sense for you anymore, like it doesn't sparks you, so you're gonna have to transform, you need to do something different. But sometimes can come for if you were exposed and now you need to transform because that you kind of fucked up previously, so now you need to transform, so you need to find yourself again. So that can represent now but it's not a slow process, it can be a difficult and painful process as well, that can mess up with your anxiety. So that's gonna be why we're gonna be achieving accumulating this light in this TRECENA, is for us to be able to go through this final process of transformation, this final process of changing and keep things in stability. So 7 transformation is the final transformation to achieve the light. And then after 7 transformation, Ukub Ah, we go to Washakid Ishvalam, 8 Jaguar. Now is gonna be when the TRECENA restarts. The now 8 represents the return of the rainy season, is the second part of the TRECENA, like it's a second beginning, that we can talk like that. Is when we are already start recognizing a pattern, because every time we do something for the second time, we kind of already know how it works, so we can do things more prepared. You are more comfortable doing that, rather than you didn't know, you just had to try things on the go. So now is the time where you can balance things from the first part of the TRECENA. So now 8 comes to keep you constant with that, keeping the pattern. And now Ishvalam, now the Jaguar, is the now that talks about the development of the earth, like the earth that is constantly gestating. Like the Jaguar can be a representation also of the planet Earth, because the Jaguar is the one that controls the species in the jungle. It's going to be the one roaming the surroundings and not letting the species getting overpopulated in there. So we always keep the ecosystem into balance, keeps the earth in balance. That's why we associate the Jaguar with the planet Earth. And also because the Jaguar is a ferocious being, is always going to be expressing something that, like the material, like the need for you to buy something or to find resources, or you can keep this developing, always having to develop to continue to keep the fertility going. Remember in the beginning of the TRECENA, we spoke about calculating the fertility. So we need to calculate like how we're gonna dose stuff so we can go into balance in this TRECENA. We can keep things under control. So Ish is gonna be talking about when we do like a saving account over there to for any time that we need, we can continue to sustain our life. So it's going to be 8-ish, it's going to be the return of the development. So after you find out that you really need to transform, you're going to need the feminine aspects and the masculine aspects to go through this transformation. So if you find about something that you need to transform, maybe you need to find a new path, or what started with a new stability, now you are more prepared to keep this development going in a more stable way. It can be talking about, returning to use in a smart way the resources that you have, or finding a way to continue getting more resources. Remember in 2 seed we talk about obtaining abundance, how we're going to calculate that, so to keep the development in a right way, we need to do a very good calculation. So 8-ish is going to be talking about this return of the development. But if things start not moving in the beginning of the TRECENA, 8-ish can be the return of the barrenness, where you're just going to be continue feeling, with no fertility, not being able to create because you're not moving. You're going to be kind of feeling bitter or maybe aggressive because of that. And that's something that can accumulate on the other side of the now Kawuq when you're talking about acting in exasperation. Like acting in exasperation is when we do these sudden rages, like you have like a lightning strike, when you get like so furious, then you just get furious for a moment, just like a lightning, like you weren't able. So if you are walking in this side, it cannot be beneficial for us. So it's a day for you to start preparing, you start to restart the TRECENA developing in a better way. Then we move to Belaer Tikin 9 Eagle. Now 9 is the now of the inner caves, or it's running behind our sight. It's the now that talks about what is gestating in the coldness. So it's another way that can be similar to the now Ish Valam that talks about gestating. But Ish is more about the material stuff. Now 9 is just talks about what is going on, but you're not seeing, you're not aware of that. There are many things that are going through in your life right now, but maybe you're just gonna see the repercussion maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow, because there is always something on the works that you are not aware of. So that's the now 9. And now Tikin is the now that we associate to the ego. It's going to be talking about the masculine part. Because if the jaguar roams the surroundings to attack, it's not going to be attacked like in the front. But the ego is going to be doing like it's going to be going straight forward. So Tikin is about being focused. So use your vision to be focused and go straight forwards, to engender. So we're going to be talking about spending as well. If initially we talk about collecting the resources, the Tikin is going to be spending the resources, going to be spending the money. So, so after the path of the transformation, we get this female aspects of Ishvalam, the jaguar, and this masculine aspect of Tikin. So we can combine them later in the next novel. So Tikin is about, gestate how straightforward you need to be, how focused you need to be to maybe start, seeing the light of intuition. The more focused we are, the more, centered into something that we are working, the more likely we are able to direct the light of intuition to maybe receive like an insight of how to proceed, or maybe how to see, like the full picture of something that we are doing. But if we get disturbed, like maybe you got like a great vision, but you cannot focus, maybe the ego can get disturbed, ended up getting in trouble because of that, or becoming trouble by the end of the TRECENA. So that's why we need to be focused on Tiquinho. We need to gestate what's going to be the next step. Keep our vision, on the outside, on the things that we can do materially as well, like how we're going to be smartly spending the money so we won't suffer later. So it can be a dangerous day for shopping, Tiquinho days. And then we move to Lauch Ahmak 10 complementarity. Now 10 is the now of the convergence, like where many rivers meet in one single place, or where there is a rock, rock formation. You see many rocks in one single place. That's a symbol of the now 10, like many things in one single place, and everything coming together. In our Ahmak, we talk about combining the complementary opposites. We talk about combining the feminine and the masculine and turning into something new. Ahmak can be associated with like the business partners that we have, the romantic partners. It talks about procreation. It also talks about sex. It's the trembling, like when these two complementary opposites, the feminine and the masculine, combine. It's just like a trembling that can cause like a big bang that's gonna explode. And so in this exploder, you can associate to pregnancy and how it's gonna result in the baby later. So that's why it's now connected to the cycle of the ancestors, the continuity of our species. So it's about combining these two to get something out of it. If you're talking about business, it's the idea plus the money, then you have a product. So it's simple like that. Or finding the right people to implement in your team or in the stuff that you're doing. So that's things that we do in Ahmak. So the convergence of complementarity it could be a day to find maybe the stuff that you need with other people, with the help of other people. See maybe try to evaluate what kind of people can help you, maybe in your projects, how many people can be complementary with you. Because remember, in the first part of the TRECENA, we spoke about 3 fire, ascending fire, opening the path for the sacrifice. If you do not choose very carefully the sacrifice we put ourselves into, we can end up being burned. And sometimes, the brightness of the fire, of the wildfire, can be something that can blind us. The light that we're looking for maybe can blind us. And that's the aspect that we need to be careful with Ahmak, because Ahmak talks about being blinded by emotions, like when you don't know where to go, and then you can start making mistakes, you start acting in incongruence. So maybe you choose the wrong partners, like you went into bad relationships because maybe you're already messy emotionally, maybe you weren't stable, so you are more likely to fall for tricksters or to fall for people that is just gonna try to take some advantage of you. So Ten Ahmak talks about making these interconnections, but try to keep your feet on the floor. Try to keep the balance that started in the beginning of the TRECENA to avoid making mistakes that can burn you at the end. But it also can represent the day where you can make up for maybe a wrong that you did to someone. Maybe you were blinded, you couldn't see the mistake that you're doing. Maybe now you can see. So it's a day to let go of that, and maybe to make up, to not carry that weight anymore with you. So it's a great day to make deals, a great day to meet people, especially if you're talking about business. It's a great day for talking about relationships as well, to solve stuff like that, to ask for this light of intuition that can solve any issues regarding to that. So, and then after Lauch Ahmak 10 complementary, go to Hu Lauch Naor 11 thought, 11 knowledge. Now 11 is what expands, is what spreads, or what can dilute. And then now Naor, we talk about the process of thinking, processing, synthesizing, We talk about planifying stuff, the process of decision making. So Naor is a spirit that is the intelligence of the planet, the one that coordinates everything, that makes the order of the stuff. And so 11 Naor, we can talk about expanding the plan, expanding the knowledge. So if you are seeking for light, the light of intuition, so the better we are centered, we got a plan of the stuff that we gotta do. We know how things connect, like how they meet in each other. We can planify stuff. The easier it gets for us, to receive this light and expand the plan. Maybe to see the big picture. We're gonna be, seeing more pieces over there. So remember that now Naor is one of the nows that we use to obtain knowledge. It's how we're going to compress that into these boxes. So we're going to be talking about finding this plan. Otherwise, now Naor can also indicate when we are overthinking the situation, overthinking the plan. Like in the beginning of the TRECENA, like we ended up like not opening the path like with the right choices. We ended up getting confused and we had so many ideas that we weren't able to control. Maybe that can infectionate, become an infection in our Naor. Like when you think about too much and you don't know like what you are doing anymore. So that's one of the stuff that we need to avoid in our Naor. If you feel like that, can be a good day to dilute these many ideas. Maybe it can be a day for you to remove some stuff of these plans, or to remove the plans that didn't work and maybe work in something different. So it's a day to not let that become an infection inside of you. And then from Hulaur Naor, we go to Kablaur Tihash. Now 12 is the repercussion of the TRECENA, what comes unexpectedly. Just like when after the destruction of the violence of the Naor 5, maybe you're gonna see the repercussion in Naor 12. Remember that we have some Naors that we talk about that it can be more occult, now like Naor 2, where you retract to calculate. Naor 4 is where you stop to try to stabilize. Like Naor 9 that's running, hitting from sight. Naor 12 is the repercussion when that comes in front of you. Like, and you didn't realize, you don't know how, you just get caught by surprise. Can be a good surprise, if you get something extra out of it. If you worked a lot, like in 5 bats, 5 thread, 5 monkey, maybe you can see some extra in the 12. You're gonna be getting maybe more results that you wanted. Maybe you didn't expect to get as much, so it comes as a surprise. Or another way to talk about the Naor 12 is when we talk about cashing out before the accumulation. So you do all this process. And now Tihash is the Naor of the incision. We talk about the Naor of the healing words and the hurting words. Tihash is the Naor of the obsidian. It's the obsidian blade that was used for extirpation with the doctors for surgery. But it's the same material that was used for the arrowheads or the spearheads, whether they were when they were going for hunting or to protect the territory. So it's the same material that was used to heal was used to hurt. So it talks about being incisive into something. You can make someone's day with the words that you tell them. You can heal them, but you can also make them bleed with your words. So that's the association that we use in Tihash. How we're gonna use the power of our communication or our words, like the use of language. So 12 Tihash is gonna be, this extra healing or the extra process or the extra efforts that you need to do to cut what is inflamming you, what is being, acting as an infection. So if 11 Naor, you got, you converged all these ideas that you couldn't find a way, you can use Tihash to cut that. Cut the ideas that didn't work, cut the threads that didn't connect it in the beginning of the TRECENA. Now you can see so much more like of the things you went through. So it's a day to do this cut, to remove what is negative. Even if you need like a self-healing to keep yourself in balance, to keep yourself more free to receive this light of intuition. And then from Kawuq Tihash, we go through the final day of the TRECENA, the ruler, Oshlahu Kawuq, 13 sheet lightning. It's going to be talking about the accumulation of everything that we spoke, the 13, the biggest, like that we associated with the ocean. We can associate with the volcano, like as the old and biggest entity in the planet, something that you can transcend. So like we talk about something big, like that is accumulated, but now you can ignore that. So in Kawuq, it's going to be the light of intuition, the light that you can reach from the Ushlab shell of the earth, like these inner spirits that can give you like the clear vision, give you that tunnel vision. If we started the TRECENA very well with the balance in care, and you were able to keep that, to go through this process of transformation that the TRECENA required, you're able to reassure the path we are walking, you're able to do the necessary work. The more you center into that, into balance, the more light, the easier it becomes to see the light that is going to be useful for our path. The easier it's going to be, to see things more clear, to see things translucent, to be more aware of the stuff that we're going to do, the stuff that could be taking us out of balance. Otherwise, you're going to have to go through all over again the round of the Chorkir until meet the past TRECENA or the Kame TRECENA and feel maybe suffering. So it's a way to learn, to the process. Sometimes we fall, but we can learn with the process. There is always a way that we can find new ideas to make something work, to make something, to overcome a process if we need it to transform into something. So that's what Kawuq is going to be talking about. But also, as I spoke about, can also talk about what can put you in trouble and trying to find a light when you're not able to direct what you want to achieve. You're just focusing to some useless stuff. Kawuq can be only the gossips, like how you waste your communication. Not making any judgmentals, it's not wrong with that. Like if you like to do that, Kawuq can help you with that. If you can work with that, Kawuq is only going to be that, the now that's going to be doing that action of providing you light. But remember, Kawuq is unsolicited information. It's something that, it brightens up and then you have to deal with that afterwards. So it's going to be something that you need to be, very centered if you like to be more able to control, be more able with the things that you receive. And that's what we talk about in here in this TRECENA, this accumulation of light to help us to overcome this final process of transformation in maintaining our balance, our initial balance. And for what? So after we went through the TRECENA of the ancestors, the frustration, this TRECENA, as we saw, maybe we can find balance again and start seeing the light of where we need to go right now or what to do. Because later in the next TRECENA, in the Oshilahue, the 13th Pathfinder, maybe we can really find like this big meaning of everything that we are doing. Like when we confront everything, which can be very beautiful, but can also be very melancholic, depending on how we go through this TRECENA of Kawuq. And that's it. And we just wrapped up this analysis. I know some of you arrived in the middle of the analysis. If there is something that you usually like to ask me about this TRECENA, about something not related to this TRECENA, I can spend a few more minutes here with you to talk about the Maya culture. It can be anything. Do you have any questions about this TRECENA or anything? I resonate a lot with what you said about read. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, it's gonna be your TRECENA, right? Ukub ah. So yeah, this TRECENA talks about this process of now. That's probably this TRECENA is where we can feel like what is this aspect of now. Because Ukub is gonna be talking also about like all of this process from one until now, until we have to accumulate all of this and go through this hard process. So it represents, like this stuff for why we need this light of intuition to guide things in your life. This TRECENA can be very auspicious, having Kawuq in the TRECENA that gives, this bright light, can give like this gift of being a good communicator. It's a very interesting owl. Any more questions? Do you do readings? Yes, I do. There is my website, mayadaykeeper.me. Let me see if I can write here from the phone. No, but mayadaykeeper.me, there is a link whether on my Instagram and on my YouTube about page. You can find the link for my website, where you can find consultations, many different types of consultations that could suit you. Yeah, Jose, Hobart is gonna be interesting now. Can be a day where you can overflow with the stuff that you gotta do. You can be, happy creating this stuff, enjoying this light of Kawuq. One thing that can be very nice for Hobbats, for example, if any of you is watching that, you have an altar and you do like artistic work or any type of work, you can leave your materials over there in the altar before the Hobbats start. So, and then you can ask, for the light of creativity to be with you when you are working with that tool. You can ask for Hobbats, for the inspiration to connect the dots to see what you're going to create. So in this way, it can be something that you can receive this light of intuition. And like I often leave sometimes my computer next to my altar, or like my pen tablet if I need to draw something, or if I would like to songwrite, do something artistic, I always leave something next to the altar and ask, for this light. So Hobbat can be an amazing day for that. Let me see the comments. How does it work? I'm interested in learning more about my now. So the consultation works like they're gonna find it usually takes 50 minutes-ish. In the first consultation, we're gonna be talking about your three main nawals. Like we talk about the Kamal B nawal, that we refer to the birth nawal, that's gonna be explaining so many stuff about your pregnancy moments, how you create purposes in life. He's gonna be talking about why do you act the way you act, how you choose the way you choose. You're gonna explain things about how you process stuff. So the Kamal Bay is one of the nawals that we see. And there are two other nawals that we say there are the three faces of us. So sometimes, it's not all the time that our birth now is the one in control. Sometimes it's another now that is take the control of our life. So it's a way that we can see, who is taking the lead in your life, who is making the decisions. maybe there is a now that is trying to overcome. It's a way that we can also find, why we enter into conflicts into ideas, you enter into confusion. So it's a way to at least to see these three forces that we have in our life, that how we can work along with them. Of course, if we analyze, when we enter into analyzing, we can do a whole process where we can understand how our entire system works. Like, the deeper we go into the analysis of the nows, of course, in the first consultation, I give you these three nows. Like, that's basically like summarizing everything that you need to know. Like, if you don't want to deepen yourself too much, just like to water, like your feet in the water, just to see about that. So these three nows can tell you a lot about the things that you can use and start making, more conscious decisions about yourself. But also there is the other consultations that you can do to deeper into this, self, understanding process. Like, for you to understand, because there is always a now that is gonna on your comparison, because depending on the person, some people can have, like 14 nows, some people can have 20 nows, can have all of them. It depends on the corporation. Everyone's gonna be different. So seeing the full corporation, you can see like what is the now responsible when you, for example, when you get interested into something. There is always a now that is going to be the one that takes like the first step, and then maybe in a split second is going to send to another one that's going to make you, to consider stuff in your life, or there's the one that's going to, chill a little bit more the information that you received. So there is always a now responsible for everything that we are doing. It's just like mapping every single voice that we listen into our heads, because they are the nows, like they are the ones making these actions into your life. We are just a vessel in the Maya cosmology. If you're talking about the Maya philosophy, we are just a vessel for these nows. So the more you understand our corporation, the more you understand deeper our actions. So the more we start understanding our nows, the more conscious we start being about our decisions, especially also with people that we choose to be by our sides, like why we feel familiar with them, like our partners as well, like what attracts us in them, how the nows can get into blindness. So the things that can be useful for work as well, how you behave into that. So the deeper we go into the consultation, the more clarity you can bring into how we function. So I know it can be a lot of information. That's why I always break down into small sessions, so we can do this deep work. It depends on how deep we like to dive in the consultation. And if there is any more questions regarding to that, or maybe regarding to something. Oh, cool. Yeah, mayathekeeper.me. And there is a section. You can do that in the homepage or go there to the personal sessions that you can book over there. It's very, very simple. You can use PayPal, and we can do the consultation on WhatsApp if you prefer, Google Meet. So guys, more questions? If you don't have any more questions, we can close our live. Close our live. Yes, man. Like right now. Let me see. One second. Hey Douglas, DM me on Instagram that we can talk about that, or can just talk like very briefly about something. Just if you like to Tell me or now I can see something quickly. I can do this quick reading if you want to. Then if you want to go deeper, then you can talk to me, then you can go on a consultation. Just send me the date of birth that I can talk briefly in here. Oh yeah, just like talking to. I would talk to as you mentioned, Edmond. You mentioned that you are Ukub-Ah, so your now is going to be returning in this TRECENA. So Ukub-Ah, we talk about process of gestation where the mother is suffering about something that the dad is doing. So maybe the mother feels inferior, of the dad. Maybe the dad can be richer, can be mean to the mother. So the baby senses that into the process of the gestation and see that the mother doesn't do anything to change because maybe she could be feeling intimidated by the dad's presence. So that uncomfortability that the mother feels but needs to adapt to a situation is what makes someone be born Nawal Ah, the transformation. That's why you talk about these aspects of wanting to transform or sometimes feel that it doesn't fit to a place. Because every time when we associate this to the pregnancy, we remember that the the gestation is going to be the one of dictating why we act into certain ways. So if you feel bitter, if you feel like you never can settle into a single idea, or you can never, feel like that you always find you're always constantly change, is because of that. So it's because you find maybe you lost something, maybe you learn that the atmosphere is constantly changing. So that's why comes to that, not to make you bitter. But it's also the now that can makes people learn more things in life. Because the more you explore changes, the more you are expanding your possibilities. So that's one of the magnificence of the things of the now that can also lead to be like the master of disguises. So that's one of the aspects of Noah. I can continue on, but I need more information, like the parents' Nawals, because that's how we can go, direct into being more precise about what happened during your gestation period to see why you different to the other people that were born the same day, same place, same room of the hospital is going to make a difference. So we need to learn like what is your specific case of being an owl 7A. And so cool. And anymore I can do like a quick reading here. I can spend a few more minutes. Yes, I've always been fascinated by this this thing related to the gestation. That's why I'm dedicating too much to study about this human behavior coming from that, and I found it one of the most fascinating things learning about the Maya calendar and understanding these aspects. So any more questions, guys? So I'm gonna close the live now. So if you are interested to, yeah. So these seeds we plant now. So focus on wax and wines. So do we hold to any particular? These seeds we plant now. Do we hold any particular? Doug, I'm not sure if I understood your question. Like, if we are talking about, for example, in the things that we act, like how we are planting things in our life, like how we are doing our choices right now, there is always a repercussion that the novels are going to give us. There is always the repercussion, for example, or inner impulses that drives us to do certain types of activities. Of course, we experience all the novels. Of course, there is many things that can play out during our life. For example, things that happen during our childhood. There is also accounting that we use for understanding what happened during childhood, like how we have like a deeper interaction with the novels, with a specific type of counting. But all of that, is connected with the substance that we are forming here. As when we say novel, we say about the fruit of the day. And that's gonna, for example, us, like we are fruit of the day that we were born. So we can end up, being like this plant, like as a plant growing. So we can get intoxicated, we can get rotten, we can, not grow. Everything can be, like a substance that can interfere, in a point, like in a certain way. But this is gonna be like what defines us, and like how we can track that, like how we can understand, like how this chemistry, like we can break down this the chemistry behind of that. Like if you combine the stuff that you've been to the pregnancy, or maybe a situation that you've been holding on, like it's been hard, like you can connect what was the substance that you are, like how that came into play, like what happened, like what was the now that took you out of balance. I don't know if that was what you asked about, like the how we plan now, how we produce things. I don't know if you were asking like metaphorically. If not, let me know here that I can really answer the question. Like the substance that we always, I tend to personalize and experience baggage. Yeah, there is always something that comes into play. Of course, there is always an aspect that I never really spoken here, because we always look for there is the influence of the novels. For example, the number novel and the nominal novel that combined we call the Kamal B novel, the birth novel. These are other influences after the pregnancy. In the pregnancy, we look for the Ushlab. The Ushlab is the inner consciousness of the baby that is shaped by the mother's experience. So that's gonna be like a fuel for the novel. So when you are born, like when you take our first breath, like when you are born, like we inhale the spirits, we inhale the novels that we call the Kamal B, that's going to be called the Kamal B. So the Kamal B is going to be this external influence that is going to be using our Ushlab as a fuel, so they can act in here, as is the food for the novels. So if our Ushlab is happy, like it's bright, it's just like experience the bright moments of the pregnancy, the brighter we're gonna be seeing an expression of our novel. You're gonna be seeing us like when we are in a good mood, we feel like we're flowing. So it's a substance like that interferes in the novel. But if our Ushlab is weak, then that can provoke the novel to act in the cold way, in the cold side. But outside from this, there is another interference that we call the chahinel, that we call the mind. Like the mind, like that is our organ that was supposed to be just an overseer, like something that we just memorize, like our library of information. Sometimes we turn this mind of information, this chahinel, into a bitter guardian. It becomes the guardian of the experiences that we consider ours, to our identity, to who we identify when we say I, or when we say like who you identify as Douglas, or who am I identify when I say Eduardo. So that's the process of the mind that comes into play, that sometimes you start messing up, trying to own the experience that you had and try to take control of the things, control of the nows. But there is always this, all of these elements that come into play that we need to make an analysis to understand, like what is happening to the person, like what is the nows provoking to a person. There are so many things, other details and other influences that I can enter in here, that I can talk about, that can act as like as a result of why you're acting like in this way right now, like why you are holding to something that was so long ago, why we keep returning to the same habits. Sometimes can be different things, but like the act, like our impulse to do that something is going to be the same. So the connecting these dots with the Maya calendar starts to make sense, about the choices that we've done in the past, like how we can learn with them, how we can clean ourselves as well, because it's not just about learning. Sometimes we need to do an effort to get out of a situation. So there are many things that can enter into this, especially when you talk about baggage. You talk about so many things that the chahinel can accumulate. The chahinel sometimes can be something that can be, interfering on how the ushlab, is experienced the life. Any more questions? Cool. So guys, I'm gonna finish the live. We have here like the 1 hour and almost 1 hour and a half in here, but it was super cool talking about that, opening up more about the knowledge. And for consultation, we can talk about here. I'm gonna read your information in there. Edmond, if you want to, you can book already on my website as well if you want to. And we keep in touch, and we see each other soon in the next TRECENA analysis. Wishing you now a great TRECENA ahead, full of intuition and good things ahead. So thank you so much, guys, again for being here with me, and see you all in our next live.